Chapter 1. The Man Made of Muscle and Memory. Boy who couldn't break. Maxwell Marvelo didn't come from greatness. He came from rot, from a collapsing tenement on the south side of Chicago, where every floor creaked like it was morning, and the wallpaper peeled like burnt skin. He was born in 1920 to an immigrant mother with fading eyes, and a father who stank of gin and cheap sweat. A man who worked the docks when he could, stole when he couldn't, and took out his frustrations on anything softer than his fists most often. Max. By age 5, Max knew what the belt felt like. Not just the sting, he knew the sound. The flick of the buckle, the hiss of leather through belt loops. His father didn't yell, he didn't grunt. He just struck, methodical and practiced, until Max stopped crying. His mother, Rosa, whispered prayers in Italian when she thought no one was listening. She'd hold Max's face in trembling hands and promise, "Say specially, Maxi, Dio ti guarda. You're special, God is watching you." But Max didn't believe in God. Not when he let this happen every night. The Great Depression. The streets were full of broken men and wide-eyed boys. Men with newspaper shoes and hollow cheeks, their dreams blown out like candles. Max would walk past breadlines stretching around corners, past men in suits begging on corners, past mothers holding infants wrapped in newspaper. Construction cranes clawed at the sky while people starved beneath them. New York's skyline rose like a monument to someone else's future. Max stared at those steel skeletons and thought, if I were born up there, maybe I'd have mattered. Once, he snuck up to a job site on 42nd Street, watched the iron workers hang off beams hundreds of feet high like they didn't care about death. One of them saw him gawking and called out, "Hey, kid, you hungry?" Max nodded. The man tossed him a half-eaten apple. "Don't end up like me. Learn numbers or punch hard. Ain't no room in between." Max bit into the apple like it was gold. It was the first thing he'd eaten in 2 days. The strange thing was, the pain didn't last. By the time Max turned 8, his bruises faded faster, his skin hardened, his bones didn't snap the way his father's fists expected. The beatings grew worse, but they stopped hurting. Then came the hunger, an unbearable, burning need to move, to strain, to lift. He couldn't sit still. He'd sneak out to the alley at night to do push-ups in the frost, punching the brick wall behind the apartment until his knuckles bled. The next morning, the wall would have hairline fractures, and his hands, not a scratch. At 9, he lifted a cast iron stove to save his mother's leg when the floor gave out. At 10, he crushed a doorknob in frustration. And one day, at 11, he grabbed his father's wrist mid-swing and stopped it cold. The old man looked into his eyes and saw something new. Not fear, not even defiance. He saw restraint. That night, his father hit harder than ever before, drunken, screaming, kicking his ribs until the floorboards rattled. He beat Max until Rosa screamed and tried to push him off. He slapped her. Hard. Too hard. She collapsed with a sound like wet paper hitting the ground. "Ma," Max whispered, crawling to her, blood on her lip, not moving. "You little bastard," his father growled. "You think you can protect her now?" Max's fists clenched. His breath slowed. Something inside him, something old, heavy, and buried, broke loose. "I'm not afraid of you anymore." He lunged. One punch. The man flew back, struck the fridge, and collapsed in a heap. His neck bent wrong. His eyes didn't blink. Max stared at his trembling hands. "I didn't mean to." Then at his mother. Then out the window. Then he ran. Chapter 2. Rats in the Gutter. Maxwell Marvelo was not a tall boy. By 13, he stood just 5'6", with thick legs and a barrel chest that made him look more like a factory worker than a street urchin. His face was soft, pretty even. Wide eyes, delicate nose, and a jaw that hadn't hardened yet. He didn't look intimidating. He looked like someone who didn't belong on the streets at all. But that's where he was. He'd been running ever since his father hit the floor and his mother wouldn't wake up. He didn't know where to go. No relatives, no friends. Just one fading memory after another, and the sound of his breath in the cold. New York swallowed him whole. He spent the winter of 1933 hiding in alleyways, slinking through back doors, begging for leftovers behind restaurants. Sometimes he got scraps. Sometimes he got kicked. "Get out of here, freak," a butcher barked once, throwing a cleaver that stuck into the wooden wall beside Max's head. He didn't flinch. He never flinched anymore. Kids like him were called gutter rats. They slept in crates, under stairwells, on the grates behind bakeries. Max was one of them, but he never begged. He'd take a punch before he asked for pity. He watched the world pass by from the sidewalk. The wealthy glided by in furs and clean shoes, stepping over men with frostbitten fingers. He saw a woman give her coat to a blind man once. That stuck with him. Most people weren't like that. Most just stared ahead, pretending the filth wasn't part of their city. Max started collecting small things. Bottle caps, paper scraps, a cracked mirror, things nobody wanted, things like him. He tried to stay out of fights, but one night, an older boy cornered him near a dock. "You been sleepin' in my spot," the boy snarled. "Pay up, or get beat." Max didn't speak, just stared. The boy lunged. Max dodged, pushed. The boy flew back, hit a pole, and crumpled out cold. A few ribs cracked on impact. Max ran before anyone could see. Again, he hadn't meant to. Again, it was too easy. Rain fell for days. Max was soaked through. His coat had holes. His boots had no soles. He crouched under a rail bridge, watching rats nibble at an apple core. "Is this what I am now?" he muttered. "A ghost?" Then he saw the poster, taped to a brick wall, fluttering in the wind. Raz's Wonders of the World. Lions, fire, feats of strength. And beneath it, small red letters. Help wanted. Cooks, hands, cage boys. Ask for Raza. It was in Jersey. He had no money, no train fare, so he walked. The circus camp looked like another world. Colorful wagons, smoke from cook fires, the faint smell of popcorn and manure. Max crept past the fence, crawled under a trailer. He was watching the strongman warm up when a hand grabbed his collar. "Hey, you think I can't see a shadow that size? Get over here." The man had one eye, a thick mustache, and smelled like cigars and tiger piss. Max froze, didn't resist. "You run, I chase. You stay. Maybe I feed you. You hungry?" He nodded. The man tossed him a chunk of bread. "I'm Raza. This is my show. You got a name?" "Max. Max Marvelo." Marvelo? Sounds like a stage name already. Raza looked him up and down. "Short, but you're built like a K. You clean? No lice?" Max nodded again. "You clean cages. I give you soup and hay. You steal, throw you in with the lions." "I won't steal," Raza grunted. "We'll see." Max slept in a stall beside the elephants, cleaned up after bears, hauled water buckets twice his size. The other boys laughed at his height, called him pretty boy, but he kept his head down, worked harder than all of them, never complained. And slowly, people stopped laughing. He didn't flinch when the tiger roared, didn't blink when the fire breather's torch exploded. He just stood still, watching, learning. 2 years passed. Then one night, Strawman Ivan staggered into the tent, drunk and loud. "Pretty boy," he slurred. "You think you're tough? Seamer." Max didn't move. Ivan threw him an iron rod. "Bend that. Go on. Show us what you got." Max hesitated, then gripped the rod. His hands flexed. The rod groaned, bent, curled into a loop. Everyone froze. "Holy hell," someone whispered. Raza stepped forward. "Looks like we got ourselves a new star." And just like that, Max wasn't a cage boy anymore. He was Marvelo, the strong boy. He wasn't tall, he wasn't loud, but when he stepped into the ring, eyes focused and muscles coiled. The crowd leaned in to watch, because Max Marvelo had finally found a place where he wasn't too much. He was just enough.